I'm James Barfield, and this is your Urban Connection. And remember, this is the show that is often imitated, but is never duplicated. Now, tonight, we have another exciting show for you. And remember, this is a show where we talk about things that others simply won't discuss. And tonight, we're going to do the same. Now, the Kansas Republican Party has issued a proposal that would eliminate from its leadership members of the African American community, members of the Hispanic community, members of the female community, and members of the youth communities throughout the state. Now, this proposal will be voted on in a few weeks. And I want to tell you something. You know, Republicans in Kansas say they want the Kansas Republican Party to look more like the Republican National Committee. Okay? Now, to me, ladies and gentlemen, when somebody says something like this, they're telling you who they are. And I've learned long ago that when somebody tells you who they are, and not only do they tell you, but they're showing you who they are, believe them the first time, okay? Because that's who they are. And this Republican Party in the state of Kansas, basically nationally, is sending a clear message and a signal to certain groups of people that we basically have no room for you in our party. Now, let me explain a little bit to you what I'm talking about. In 2020, the state of Kansas voted to show not only the state of Kansas, but the entire nation that we are not in support of overturning Roe v. Wade. The females voted in record numbers to send a clear message, not only to the GOP in the state of Kansas, but across the nation, that we don't want you to have control over our bodies. We don't want you to tell us what we can do with our bodies. And this was a clear message. The vote was overwhelmingly in support of leaving our bodies alone. You're not our doctors. You're not our husbands. You don't control what we do with our bodies, nor who we do it with. But yet, the Republican Party, nationally and in the state of Kansas, continues to want to attempt to pass bills and make laws that give them control over a female's body. So what are they saying to you? You either conform to our rules or we want you out of the party. That's the female. Now, to the African Americans, what are they saying? They're saying that we want to suppress your vote. We want to put restrictions on who can and cannot vote. We want to gerrymander your districts, to make your districts either eliminate them or gerrymander them so that they are in complete control of the Republican Party. Because they know most of the African Americans are not members and not voting members of the Republican Party. The same goes true with Hispanics. They have been sending these messages for a number of years. And let me just tell you something. Today, it's different than it was 10, 15 years ago, because today they have the support of the Supreme Court. They have those guys in their pocket. They have become just another arm of the Republican Party. And especially now, since Donald Trump has appointed three very, very conservative, Roe v. Wade hating Supreme Court justices. Okay? So the youth, they fear that the youth that are members of the Republican Party are not as extreme as the older group. They don't have the same beliefs as the older groups. They have some principle, which you won't find in many of the older groups. So let's look at it, ladies and gentlemen. If you eliminate African Americans, Hispanic Americans, women, and youth, extricate those people from the Republican Party, and what do you have left? You have a bunch of old white men. Now, here's my message. I say to these groups that they want to kick out, and they're telling them they don't have room for them in the Republican Party. Get out of their way. Get out of their way. Let them self-destruct. Because guess what? Those older white men are dying off in numbers each and every year. And it's just a matter of time before you won't have enough older white men who want to have control over every other group. You won't have enough of those people to win any type of national elections. And a lot of states are turning either purple or turning blue. Now, what does that mean? The Republicans already are fearful after looking at the latest census. And the census numbers, ladies and gentlemen, the census clearly shows that the growth rate in America is highest among Hispanics and African Americans and other minority groups. The decline in birth rates is the highest among white population. So what does that mean? It means we're right on the verge of becoming a minority majority population in this country. They see the handwriting on the wall, but guess what? They can't stop it. They can't stop us. So get out of their way. Stop licking their boots. Yeah, I'm gonna say it again. Stop licking their boots, because that's what you're doing. And they're saying and doing everything they can to get you out of their party. Now, let me just explain this to you. Republicans in Kansas are considering a change to state party rules that would result in groups that represent underrepresented constituencies like women, young voters, and African Americans, as well as Hispanic Americans, booting them from the executive board, a move that critics say will consolidate power around the party's newly elected chairman. Now, let me just explain something to you, ladies and gentlemen. This is what the current Republican Party is all about: power and control. Okay? Power and control. You see, they don't have a platform, they don't have an agenda, they don't have a principle anymore. Okay? It's vote against everything and vote for nothing. Remember how long they talked about getting rid of the Affordable Care Act? But they never, ever came up with anything to replace the Affordable Care Act? No, because they don't have any ideas. They don't have any agendas. They don't have any policies. They're just a party of no, with no principles. And they want anybody and anything that they feel might get in their way out of the party. what used to be called a big tent is now almost no tent. Okay. Now, getting back to this, earlier this week, and this was about 2 weeks ago, the GOP's Rules Committee advanced a proposal to change a years old party bylaws in an effort to oust several special constituency groups, along with state and federally elected Republican officials from the board, which oversees party operations and budgetary decisions. This would give a core constituency of loyal party insiders greater control, there's that word again, over party operations and budgetary decisions. The changes, which will be formally voted on this summer, would likely enhance the ability of the state GOP chairman, Mike Brown, to reshape the party in his own image. A far-right election denier, this is Mike Brown, who won his position by just 2 votes in February after a failed bid to Secretary of State last year. So you see, you have that word there, ladies and gentlemen, that is continually used, control. This is what they want. Now, yesterday at a local pub, there's a Republican Party constituency that's called the Pachyderm Club. The Pachyderm Club holds, I believe it's weekly or monthly meetings. And yesterday, the topic that was discussed with a panel of Republicans at the Pachyderm Club was this very issue and this very topic. On the panel, there was a former Sedgwick County Democratic Party leader. There was an African American vice chair of the Kansas Black Caucus Council. There was a Hispanic, I believe, president of the Hispanic Caucus Council, I believe, and there was a Republican female state senator were on the panel. Now, most of the people on the panel, because I say most because the female senator candidate, I did not ever hear any words from her. But the other 3 were opposed to this proposal. They were opposed to this idea. Now, the Black Republican female, whose name is Talia Penn, I think I'm pronouncing it right, voiced her opposition and stated that if this passes or not, just the idea would make it harder for her and others to recruit and bring in other people like herself into the Republican Party. Now, my question to her is, why would you want to bring somebody into a party full of hate and into a party that is sending signals that says we don't want you in the party? What is wrong with these people? Now, the Hispanic, whose name is, I believe is Joe Shiseda, I think I'm pronouncing it right. Mr. Shiseda says he's been a member of the Republican Party for over 26 years, ever since he was 13. Well, I have to say this to Mr. Shiseda. Sir, have you not recognized that this Republican Party is not the same Republican Party that you embraced 26 years ago? At the time that you embraced the Republican Party, sir, they had principles, they had ideas, they had agendas, they had an open door policy. All of that's gone, sir. This is not the same party. You're not welcome in the party anymore. How many times do they have to tell you that? Now, you know, I used the term a while ago, bootlicker. And I'm going to tell you, some people are going to be offended by that. And if you're offended, I'm going to tell you, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to take it back. Because that's what it is. That's what you're doing. When somebody says they don't want you in their life, they don't want you in their party, why do you try to force yourself upon them? And I want to say to you females, if a man that you are attracted to continue to tell you and show you that he didn't want you in his life, that he didn't want any part of you, would you continue to chase him and try to force yourself on him? Or would you go find yourself another man that would embrace you and what you stood for? I think that you would do the latter. So then why do you find it so difficult to detach yourself from a Republican Party that wants nothing to do with you? I don't understand it. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe somebody could enlighten me what's going on. Because if you are continuing to run after and chase somebody that is not interested in you, you are a bootlicker. And there's other words I could use, but I won't. But you're a bootlicker, and that's what you're doing. Now, so some of you say, well, oh, I just can't see myself joining the Democratic Party. I just can't see myself. I didn't suggest that. There are other parties out there. But I want to tell you something. If the African Americans in this country, and if the Hispanics in this country, and if the rejected women in this country, and the gays and lesbians in this country who are rejected by this very same party, if those people could come together as one, you could form your own party. And you could have a party that would either elect people in your district, and that means for your city council, for your county commission, that means for your state legislators, and that means your United States representatives, United States senators, and maybe even the president. You could do one or two things. You could either elect those people, or you could kill the Republicans from ever winning another national election. But guess what? They're counting on you not doing that. They're counting on you not banding together, not sticking together, because they're counting on you to continue to chase and run after and force yourself on them. In other words, they're counting on you to continue to be a bootlicker. They can't run away from you fast enough. No matter what they do, no matter what they say, you're going to still be there, licking their boots. Because you want to fit in somewhere that you're not wanted. You know, it's asinine. You know, I'm reminded of the old adage that says to do the same thing over and over and get the same results is a form of insanity. And that is what you're doing, folks. You African Americans, you Hispanic Americans, you women who are pro-life, who are being rejected on a daily basis by the Republican Party. For you to stay in that party and continue to chase and force yourself, or attempt to force yourself on these people, is a form of insanity. You should wake up, look yourself in the mirror, and see if you really, really like what you see. Look over your actions for the past 10 to 12 years. Ask yourself, is this the Republican Party that I committed myself to 10 to 12 years ago? And certainly not 26 years ago. Is this the party that I want to be a part of today? Mr. Shiseda said the reason he's in the party is because of what they stand for, because of what their principles are. Mr. Shiseda, you're not kidding me, but you're kidding yourself. Because the reality is the GOP of today does not have any principles. They don't stand for anything. And they're trying to show you that each and every day, not only by their words, but by their actions as well. They're saying to people like you and those that look like you, to people that like me, that look like me, we don't have room for you in this party anymore. Okay? So make their job easy. Step aside. Get out of their way. They're self-destructing. And they might not realize it. But they're killing themselves. They're killing the Republican Party. They're putting the Republican Party in a position where they won't be able to win a single national election for the next 30 to 40 years, sir. Get out of their way. Okay. And here's the kicker, and I'm going to end with this. After all is said and done, at this Pachyderm Club meeting on yesterday, Michael Austin, who is the chairman of the Kansas Black Caucus Council, along with Mr. Shiseda, who heads the Kansas, I believe the Kansas, at least the Sedgwick County delegation of Hispanics, they both said that if this proposal passes, they will continue to embrace and endorse and recruit members of their race into the Republican Party. Man, oh man, only in America. All right, folks, that's it. That's my show for today. And hopefully you enjoyed the show. And I will see you again in a few days, okay? I'm out.